Welcome to NILDS 360, your inside look at how research, dialogue, and capacity building are strengthening legislative governance in Nigeria through the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. My name is Ramat Abdurrahim. Stay tuned. We begin with highlights from the 2026 International Women's Day celebration, where NILDS, in collaboration with UN Women, hosted a historic national gala in Abuja. The event featured the inauguration of the Nigerian Women Legislative Caucus, a significant step towards strengthening women's participation in governance and promoting gender-responsive legislation.
As a legislator, we are fully cognizant of the critical role that women play in nation building and development. These roles cannot be duplicated, ignored, or overemphasized. The value that our women bring to the table demands that if intentionally in advancing their rights and ensuring that they get justice as a matter of course.
The Director General also called for urgent progress on the Special Seat Bill ahead of the 2027 general elections, emphasizing the need to translate commitment to gender equality into concrete legislative action.
The Special Seat Bill for women represents one of the most transformative democratic reforms before our nation and offers a constitutional pathway toward correcting a structural imbalance that has long overdue.
NILDS, in partnership with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, also organized a 3-day capacity building program for parliamentarians and legislative staff on the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. The program provided lawmakers with practical knowledge and policy tools to support Nigeria's effective participation in the AfTA framework.
This capacity building program has therefore been carefully designed to deepen understanding of AfTA agreements and its associated protocols, examine Nigeria's obligation and implementation strategy, and strengthen the capacity of legislature and legislative staff to effectively discharge their constitutional responsibility in this regard.
On strategic partnerships and institutional engagement, NILDS also expanded its strategic partnerships through several high-level engagements with collaborations. This included discussions with Baobab for women's human rights on gender-responsive legislation and a meeting with Africa Global to explore collaboration on peace and climate education.
One of the reasons why we are here today is that we have a new program, and Nigeria is part of the beneficiary country, and the mission is really a scoping mission to check and see if there is interest, if there is a political buy-in for this project to be implemented here in Nigeria, and what are the key challenges that the program can help and support, to address here in Nigeria.
This is something we discussed about 2 weeks ago. So when coming on board now to raise this kind of project, I think something that we shall key into. When we were with you some years back, that was when the institute had just 4 departments. Now we have 12 departments. 12 departments that are well streamlined to address specific sector or sectoral areas of our need.
The Institute also signed a memorandum of understanding with organizations including the International Law Association, IFUG Dialogue, and Civil-Military Cooperation, aimed at strengthening legislative research, peace-building initiatives, and democratic governance. In its continued efforts to support informed policymaking, NILDS hosted a parliamentary retreat on private security governance and legislative oversight, bringing together lawmakers and security stakeholders.
Private security governance remains one of the most critical yet under-examined components of Nigerian border security architecture. Today's retreat is therefore not merely a continuation, but a deliberate progression from awareness and conceptual engagement to deeper institutional reflection, strategic alignment, and actionable legislative direction.
The securities situations we find ourselves as far back as in the 80s are not the same challenges that we are facing today. And so we must look for ways to mitigate some of these things. Also by enhancing and improving the private security industry, it will go a long way in assisting the core security agencies in seeing to overcoming the security challenges we have in Nigeria.
The Institute also organized a public lecture on federalism and the crisis of security in Nigeria, where experts highlighted the need for stronger institutional accountability and reforms in Nigeria's security architecture.
The federal government should initiate a constitutional amendment to transfer policing from exclusive list, legislative list, to concurrent list to facilitate the establishment of state police forces. State government should implement community-based policing strategy by recruiting indigenous officers to foster local trust and enhance the quality of intelligence gathering. The National Assembly must enact robust legal frameworks and independent oversight mechanism to prevent the politicization or abuse of state police by state executive. Because one of the worries of people is when you localize security apparatus, then the political class can use it to oppress their opponents.
Here at NILDS, our mandate is to strengthen legislative capacity, promote democratic governance, and support evidence-based policy making. This public lecture, therefore, forms part of our broader commitment to ensuring informed national dialogue on issues that directly affect the stability and have the future of our democracy. We believe that rigorous intellectual engagement must inform legislative reform and institutional strengthening.
Meanwhile, during an interaction with the research staff of the Institute, their Director General, Professor Abubakar Olairaju Suleiman, emphasized the importance of evidence-based research in strengthening legislative governance and supporting effective policy decision-making. He encouraged researchers to prioritize studies that address real governance challenges and provide practical solutions for lawmakers.
As researchers, we should do more of supply driven. And that is why directors and head of unit must motivate staff, engage staff. There are so many fundamental issues that call for our intervention, not only to the legislature, but also to the executive, to other institutions.
NILDS once again held a graduation ceremony of another batch of the DG NILDS internship program on legislative drafting. This makes it the 6th graduation for interns on legislative drafting organized by the Institute. In his remarks, the Director General of NILDS, Professor Abubakar O. Suleiman, noted that the internship is a professional training ground governed by the Institute's policies and values, which aligns with the needs of Nigeria's democratic institutions.
The internship program represents one of the Institute's strategic initiatives aimed at bridging the gap between theoretical legal education and the practical demand of legislative drafting.
As Nigeria prepares for the 2027 general elections, NILDS also convened a public lecture to examine the role of emerging technologies in shaping the country's democratic process. The lecture titled Artificial Intelligence, Governance in Nigeria and the 2027 General Elections. This explored how digital technologies are transforming political communication and electoral systems. Delivering the lecture, Professor Ephraim Stephen Essien highlighted both the opportunities and potential risks associated with the growing use of artificial intelligence in the democratic process. The event attracted distinguished scholars, policymakers, and stakeholders, including the former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Atahiru Jega, who joined discussions on the governance implications of artificial intelligence for Nigeria's electoral system.
The National Assembly should expedite effort to pass and reconcile the various AI bills available in the National Assembly into a single bill and enact a national AI law.
It's possible for an electoral commission to create a chatbot and provide all the critical information relating to election, which will make it easier if somebody posts something on the internet that is misinformation or disinformation, there is a credible source from the commission that people can go to look for what is genuine information.
The purpose of this lecture is not merely to discuss technology, rather, it is to reflect on how Nigerians can anticipate and responsibly govern technological change in ways that protect electoral credibility, strengthen democratic institutions, and maintain public trust.
Policy dialogue, capacity building, and strategic partnerships, the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies continues to strengthen legislative institutions and democratic governance in Nigeria. Thank you for joining us on this episode of NILDS 360. For more updates on our programs and activities, follow NILDS across our social media platforms. My name is Ramat Abdurrahim. See you on the next episode.